Hi, my name is Thomas Ford. I'm a current college freshman and MVP saved my life. My name is Thomas Ford. I was raised and born in Willingboro, New Jersey. I feel like as a child, I was always very a quiet child. I never really talked to nobody. I was always to myself for the most part. I have three sisters, my mom and my dad I live with. And usually for the most part, I was just wanted to quiet. I just observed things a lot. And as I got older, I realized I never really fit in with friends or people my age. I always just watch people. Most time, if I did have conversation with people, it usually be with adults. And I always felt I was missing some type of conversation with people my age. Especially as time went on, I feel like I always had a bad relationship with or friendships with people my age, and I always had a bad relationship with just relationships in general. Especially during middle school, I say for the most part, that was the biggest transition for my life. I would say a lot of things personally happened. My grandfather passed, and this was a time where middle school and just in general is already a big transition to my life. But I was just trying to find who I was and just see where did I fit in and what made me happy. In eighth grade, eighth grade was definitely the moment when I kind of started to find different things I did. Like I joined my local marching band, and that pretty much changed my pretty much passion. I kind of found something that I love and I wasn't dedicated to. Then I stuck with marching band all the way to my senior year in high school. Entering freshman year, it was another transition because it wasn't as bad as middle school transition, but it definitely was a big transition in my life. It was everybody around me was older. I was trying to get a sense of high school, what is high school, what things I wanted to do, what things I like. Pretty much still rediscovering myself, like in a different aspect as I got older. I would say high school was definitely a lot for the most part. 2 of my years was quarantine. I didn't really see a lot of my friends. I didn't really get the chance to really have that full high school experience. So it definitely was hard. But the moments I did when I was in high school, even outside during quarantine, MVP really saved me and really helped me become the person I am today and really motivated me and pushed me through all my 4 years in high school, because high school was a lot. And they kept reassuring me that it's okay just to be yourself. Freshman year, I remember it was the summer. I was doing marching band, but I was decided I want to play football too, so I was doing both. And a couple of my friends was saying they was a part of this program called MVP during the summer, and they should just come. And I wasn't sure because I was already doing football and I was already doing marching band. I was like, I'm not sure, but I was like, I definitely want to be involved in high school and try as many programs I want. So let me just see. So one day I went to this room, and I thought it was the coolest room I ever had. Like the games everywhere, I saw the little fish tanks. It definitely had a type of calmingness to it that really brought, like, you can be yourself. Like you never felt judgment. You more just felt like home, pretty much. The best way to describe it. Then after I was in the MVP for a couple of weeks, I kind of got a sense of the different, like what MVP was and how it helped for mental health. And they were pretty much like resources that most places, especially I would say in black neighborhoods, we don't really get those resources as much we need. But freshman year, I wasn't as involved, especially the first half in MVP. I wish I was, but especially during the second half, that's when I started getting involved and I discovered different programs they had, such as TV Studio, Aquaponics, the Boys to Men group. And that's when it really changed my whole aspect of high school. It really was my key memories. Besides marching band, MVP was always there to really guide me and really push me through and just make me actually want to come to school every single day. Even through all the circumstances with school and outside of school, it was just, I knew a group of people who were going to be there who actually cared. Then the main group I was really part of was TV Studio, especially freshman and sophomore year. TV Studio, I had all different aspects. I had recorded, I was a host, I did an audio, and it was definitely great to see different things you can do just recording. And especially before, I never really seen no programs that really had like show you how to do interviews, ask you a question, get interviewed yourself, how to record. And sometimes we would hear different interviews from people from our town, outside our town, and just hear their stories. And just by recording them, you felt their presence and really felt some sense of, not a story, but you felt what was happening at that moment when that person was telling that story. And even just given different opportunities, I never even thought I wanted to be into tech or maybe record or have interview, but it definitely gave me something. I was like, maybe this is something I wanted to be interested in. It gave me opportunity to let me think this is something I could be interested into. Because a lot of times, especially I feel like in my community, in my high school, wasn't allowed to have certain amount of opportunities or different career opportunities, especially to see what things I did like and I didn't like. Even if I didn't like it, I knew I didn't like it because at least I had the opportunity to try it. Then we had other ones as Aquaponics. Aquaponics was definitely gave me, it felt like, when you're a child, and sometimes, especially me, I would say I wasn't always the smartest person, but I definitely always wanted to be smart for the most part. Actually, no, let me check that. I am smart, actually. Words are powerful first. But I always never felt like I was smart enough, but when I did aquaponics, it made me feel like I was a scientist. I was growing, using fish, growing vegetables, fresh vegetables inside of the school from tilapia. And you never think of that process. Honestly, before, I never thought about even nothing like that before. I just thought when you grow things, it come from soil, come from dirt. I used to grow things when I was younger, but I never used tilapia. So it definitely gave me a big experience. And me personally, I'm not a science person, but it definitely made me like, wow, what is this? And like, even if I didn't really want to be into it, it definitely gave me a sense of, wow, this is what fresh crops is, what fresh vegetable is and fresh thing. And I know I keep going back to the black or within my neighborhood, but this is really important within black neighborhoods because you don't see fresh food or fresh crops or anything really fresh or that comes from the ground or not changed or gentrified or pretty much harming black or brown people in their neighborhoods. So to really see something where you can grow your own vegetables and pretty much have your own life without crewing with other people, especially as black and brown people, you really can't trust other people but your own. So that definitely gave me a wow. Like, in the future, I definitely would want to see myself grow my own crops and really pretty much have my own, I'm trying to find a word for it, not foundation, but pretty much like foundation, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like my own settlement, like my own land. I know how to take care of mine. Another group I was part of was Boys to Men. I was part of Boys to Men. The funny part about Boys to Men was pre-COVID, I was the youngest there. I was the youngest. I was only freshman there with all seniors and juniors. So I wasn't really talking. I was more quiet. Like I said, kind of when I was younger, I should just observe the conversation and just hear what people had to say, just hear different men aspect. Especially me, I live with 3 sisters and my dad and my mom. But pretty much, majority of my family is women. So when I get a chance to hear another man's perspective, I definitely like to listen and kind of hear what they have to say and kind of reflect on my life because I definitely have a different experience since I live with majority women my whole life. But I would say freshman year, like I said, I was always observant. But senior year, pretty much since quarantine, because junior and sophomore year was pretty much quarantine, so we wasn't able to have Boys to Men. But senior year, it came back again. And this year, I was the oldest. Everybody else was all lower classmen. I was the only senior. And it definitely felt like I was doing something right because just to see myself freshman year and see the other young men to be in my perspective and just listen, not necessarily always got to say something, but just to be observant of other men in different situations and just to have other men and different types of men is not just typical, like going back to the black thing, but typical black men or a stereotype of what black men. We had different types of black, Spanish men, all types of men who come different perspective, like different things, different choices, and not what the ideal man is supposed to be. And that's the whole point of Boys to Men, to show is not really a real title what a man to be. I think a lot of times people put in perspective what a man is supposed to be, masculine, alpha, and all that. But there's so much more to be a man than just masculinity or alpha. And it taught me that so much, and have here different conversations to really hear what men talk about masculinity. And I feel like that's a deep conversation, I would say, within the black neighborhoods and urban neighborhoods, because I feel like masculinity is such a thing that's brought on within young men that no one really knows what masculinity is. It's just a term. And people don't really know define masculinity, because masculinity can mean so many different types of things. And Boys to Men really showed me what to do. And it was a good brotherhood to have with other men, to have different perspectives as you and same perspective as you, to really bond. And even if somebody had different perspectives as you, y'all still know y'all have the same respect for each other. And I think that's so much ignored in just the world nowadays, that people, you can have a different opinion but still have a moral respect of somebody. And I feel like, I don't even just say it, I don't always say black neighborhoods, but just in general, within all high schools and just public schools, but especially within America, we need to show some sense of unity and brotherhood, or not even brotherhood, sisterhood, or just a relationship of just unity, just not arguing back and forth. And the key principle of Boys to Men was pretty much unity, I would say. It was Boys to Men and growing. And as myself, I'm only a college freshman, but I definitely see myself growing since I was in elementary school, from middle school to high school. Even now, I would say 4 months ago, I'm not the same person I was today from 4 months ago. And that was not even a full year ago. And it really taught me, you're supposed to change. And sometimes you're not always gonna be the same person you was 2 years ago, and that's okay. But you are still the same person from 2 years ago, because you still have the same sense. And much you might change, you still have some type of old you in you, but you still the new you at the same time. So it taught me to be okay of what I was, who I am, and who I'm going to be. Then outside, even with the clubs with MVP, I had so many different relationships. The people at MVP that changed my whole 4 years when I was going through my lowest moments. Let me say, Mr. Gary Nelson, see me at my lowest point. My senior, Miss Ashley, Mr. D, Mr. Terry, Miss Thomas, all these people really changed. Really, I wouldn't even say change me, but they really was there. And it was simple, just somebody being there. It takes so much for somebody just to be there. It's not even just helping, supporting, but just have a presence. And a lot of times people may have presence, but it's different between actually having presence in somebody's life and just being present. And when I mean having presence in somebody's life, I mean is really being involved and caring and being there when somebody's going through the good, bad, wrong. When somebody's telling you you're dead wrong, you're dead right, I'm not sure, you should think about that. Good job, to motivate you. That's a person who really present in your life. And I must say, the people at MVP really was present in your life. What's just a quick story, not even about my life. Last year, I went out to eat for my friend for her birthday. We were just having a really towards the end of dinner, we were just talking, and our waitress, and we just happened to just say we went to Willingboro, and we was talking about MVP. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I graduated class of 15, and she was like, Mr. D really changed my life. I remember moments of me going back in there just crying and letting out, and just to have that moment and just show how much it just affected someone. And we was already out of town, nowhere near Willingboro, and just see wow, MVP really made a difference to somebody who probably graduated, who's a grown adult, but still have key memories and memorizing people who was present in their life when they was probably going through the most changes. Really just shows how much a presence MVP had within Willingboro. I feel like, especially within the last 10 years when Willingboro going the biggest change, you've seen the presence MVP has been and has stayed consistent. As much as everything else might change, they was consistent of what they was, who they were, and what their mission was. And their mission is called Making Visions Possible, and I really do think they achieve making visions possible. They really push students to see what their goal is in his life, and whatever it could be, if it's college, it's a trade, if it's maybe they just want to help out in the community, maybe they need to take a time off, but that was their mission. And I truly, truly believe and know that they did that mission to so many students within my class, the year before my class, the classes that's still in Willingboro right now, and classes more to come. And I think it's so much lack of strong values like that within just places in general, within high schools, especially black high schools, because it's already the fact that black high schools are ignored, but to have that presence within a black high school is such a need in the world right now, especially in America, because these are the things that really keep students pushing. Even though we had academics, and I feel like academics is important, But to have strong mental health, and mental health can affect anybody. It can affect the athlete, it can affect the marching band student, it can affect the honor student, it can affect somebody who just coming back and forth. But to have somebody there for you mentally can have such a big effect on your life. And mental health really do matter, especially in this day and age we living in. Mental health is key, especially to the children and the teenagers, to the generation that's coming and come to the future. Mental health is probably one of the biggest things that's having an effect on, I would just say, us, what generation, what we, X, Z? I think Z, yeah, we're Generation Z. Generation Z, and I think a lot of times we're always ignored and just pretty much said as like the generation that's always had mental health, but not really stability. But you rarely find people, especially older people, to value the same thing that I feel like this current generation really needs. Some strong mental health and just support. Mentally, physically, and just there's somebody who always need to turn to. Like I said, I'm a college freshman, so technically I graduated right now. And look where I'm at right now. I'm an MVP again just because I need a presence that make me feel like I'm welcome. And that's the whole point of MVP. And I feel like a lot of times, a lot of politicals happen that always affect programs like MVP and never really give the force it is because it's a certain type of people. But current programs like this will affect greater generations, probably do more justice than any policy or politics that's probably going on in the world right now. Because this is affecting the stability of the future. And a lot of times people need to realize within high school programs, these high school programs are people who are going to be your senators, your legislators, your teachers, your accountants. So making a difference in their lives now can affect you in the future and affect everybody else in the future. So I just think it's really important so everybody take the time to really realize what you may be doing now may affect you now, but just better believe it always will happen in the future. So I think we really need to take the time and just think whoever who's just there for you, just like how MVP was there for me, just think for anybody who is there for you and just presence there mentally, physically, and just there to always support you. I think pretty much that's all I gotta say is, I just wanna say, I want to thank MVP again for making just a difference in my life and other people's lives and continue to make people change in people's lives because it's such a lack of that within the world, and I just really want to emphasize the lack of support within this world that I just want to say thank you.